Hello, everybody. My name is Volkhard Kantner. I'm a senior agile coach and SPC at Telekom IT GmbH, that is a wholly owned subsidiary of Deutsche Telekom in Germany. We are the internal service provider of Deutsche Telekom, and in this capacity, we have about 11,000 employees that are dispersed around mainly about Germany. So we have about 6,500 employees in Germany and about 4,000 in the rest of Europe, basically, mostly in East European countries, but they are also present in Brazil, for instance. Our internal IT budget is about at 1.8 billion euros a year. We have about 800 plus applications that we support on 12,000 servers. We maintain about 145,000 IT workplaces throughout the world. And to give you a further impression, we have about 45,000 mobile devices that we are managing. And in our backend systems, we have about 40 million, I must say 40 million customer data present, which is running our business. Yes, the question is, what was our starting point for starting with a safe implementation? And in short, the morale was low due to restructuring in the past couple of years and cost-cutting measures. And that was, of course, impacting a lot of our employees. In general, the time to market was too slow. We had about 3 major releases in a year and a turnaround time of about 16 months. And the solitary Scrum teams we had established in a variety of areas across the company were always in danger to get drowned out by the surrounding waterfall. And so there was very little sustainable progress. And that meant also that we had only about 10 agile coaches supporting about 10,000 employees, which was, of course, not enough. So we started with our agile transformation and with our journey to save. And we did this by starting an Agile Academy that meant to be a training center for Scrum Masters to start out with. But in the last couple of months, this has been enhanced and has been expanded to cover a lot of roles needed in the SAFe framework and in Agile in general. That meant we are educating product owners, we are supporting software engineering, we are having a training program for DevOps-Engineers, and last but not least, SAFe program consultants that we have educated and trained together with our training partner KEGON at that part. The Agile Academy had provided up to now about 200 Scrum Masters that we have trained. We have 120 SPCs in the company. We have just completed the first round of DevOps-Engineers. 28 of them are now present, and we're looking forward to having more of them. RTE class is currently running, and so we have a lot of activities going around, and this is certainly one of our success factors here. Our learning, for instance, was that we do not have to educate only people associated with software development. We have also had people trained up from HR, from finance, and from the Workers' Council, for instance. And they were acting as multipliers throughout the organization, which was a big benefit. Yes. Our tipping point in terms of the same framework came very surprisingly in a way that our management challenged us that to build solitary Scrum teams was not enough. They wanted to have more and larger units being transformed. So they challenged us to have 19 arts set up at once. And of course, we were in a better position when we had the SPCs already trained up, so that there was considerable support available. But the problem was that these arts were not all on the same stage at this particular point. For instance, some of them never completed a value stream analysis, which came back to bite us quite badly in the past. And our learning here from this step is that you cannot skip value stream analysis. You need to do this. When you're not doing it right away, you have to do it later, but there's basically no way around this. And that caused another point in our, since we have such a decentralized approach, it was not possible when you build 19 arts at once to have a central lace here that is controlling and guiding all of these separate activities. So that was a very decentralized approach, and that caused us after a while to have a sort of a maturity check for these upcoming arts, where we try to make sure that the arts have all the necessary ingredients built up in order to be on a trajectory that is self-sustaining, and that they would allow them to accelerate and to grow over time. Without needing too much support from the outside. So there are questions being asked, how is your program backlog being structured? How do features come into this? How do they get out of that? Do you have a DevOps strategy in order to be on a sustainable pace in terms of what your architectural runway is concerned? Do you have, for instance, enablers in your feature backlog or not? These kind of questions are being asked just to make sure that these arts have a chance to improve and to sustain their pace. We've seen over the time quite a couple of successes. First of all, our time to market was reduced. When we had like a time from 16 months on average in the waterfall world, we're now down to 12 months. This is only capturing the big releases. And when we look at the way we are handling smaller demands, we must we come to the conclusion that we have a much larger time to reduction than 25% only. And that was basically due to these cutting smaller of releases and being able to deliver smaller pieces of software value to the customer in a shorter time. And our last big success in this area was when we adopted lean portfolio management strategies. In our case, this is quite different from the true teachings of SAFe that are very product focused. We are more focused on business capabilities that build portfolios in our case, and that has been a huge, roaring success, I must admit, because these portfolios have a tendency or are provided with the necessary budget to fund their art throughout the year. And of course, when you're coming from a project-driven world where the budget is tied to a demand, the prospect of being financed throughout a year is a big incentive for people to think whether they can change towards a more agile and flexible organization. And this change has given a wealth of activity and has contributed largely to our success that we now have about 65 agile release trains live, and there are still some more coming up in the next couple of months. Well, this also has given incentive to starting into our next phase of reorganization. And that means that we, together with our colleagues and partners from HR, are embarking on a journey to create a more flexible organization when we need to shift personnel from one art to another, or from one portfolio to another due to change strategic considerations, as they might or are actually coming up with the coronavirus impact. So that has helped us greatly to gain a lot more flexibility, and that's what we are implementing right now. Our current challenges here in this area, and we are hoping and relying here also on the expertise on our external partners like KEGON. Of course, we have to digest the coronavirus impact. That means move into a more remote setting, to virtual teams, to virtual ceremonies. And our next step in the organizational development will be to establish a learning organization, to take, inspect, and adapt more seriously and evaluate what's coming out of this, and to overcome the resistance that our organization feels in terms of metrics and the establishment of hard data, fact-driven enhancements. And within our Accelerate activities, there is a need to redo some of our value stream analysis, be it on portfolio level, be it on art level. And because there is basically no chance in such a big organization that you get it right in the first cut. And so after a while, and you've been learning about your setup, you need to partially redo this and be in a position to shift and change the setup again. And this is a process that we're currently in. And yeah, I hope that in the near future we'll enjoy further support through new releases of SAFE. We're very much looking forward to this, and to see how we can incorporate this in our organization with the help of our partners. Thank you very much.